waters. The Parkway conflict is exacting a high toll and cries for early resolution. So the Parkway conflict means a problem at the Parkway, and it is exacting a high toll, means it is getting harder and more difficult to handle by as time continues, and cries for early resolution. So hence it needs to be solved as soon as possible. The tragic death of four fishermen from Tamil Nadu. One of them is Sri Lankan Tamil Nadu refugee living in India illegally when the Sri Lankan Navy was about to arrest them last week, is yet another instance of the unresolved fisheries conflict in the path by taking an unacceptable toll of lives. So the Parkway fishery conflicts have been happening from many years, and this is one of those scenarios. The Sri Lankan Navy, it was actually it almost arrested four fishermen last week, and this week the same four fishermen have died. And one of the fishermen who have died is a Sri Lankan refugee, but is actually an Indian Tamil person. While fishermen in Tamil Nadu say the four were killed in an attack by the Sri Lankan Navy, the latter maintains that they died when their trawler collided with a naval vessel while trying to avoid being apprehended. So, um, the reason for the death is in two ways. The people of Tamil Nadu, or at least some of the people of Tamil Nadu, say that all of the four fishermen have been killed by the Sri Lankan Navy. Whereas the Sri Lankan Navy says that when the Navy was about to arrest them, they tried to escape, and by doing so, the fishermen's boat. Here they used the word naval vessel, which it usually means a naval boat. So their boat has hit the ship of the Sri Lankan army by Sri Lankan Navy by mistake, and that was the reason of the death. So no one knows the exact reason of the death. India has lodged a strong protest with the Sri Lankan authorities, who have set up a committee to find a permanent solution to the incursions by Indian fishermen. So, since many years, India was in a strong protest against the Sri Lankan fishery conflicts, and this is also one of that situation. Whereas at this time, the Sri Lankan authorities, they're trying to find a permanent solution of their problems or fights with the Indian fisheries. They still did not come they still did not come with a they still did not come up with a solution. It was less than a month ago that the two countries resumed discussion after a 3 year gap. India sought the early 3 year gap. Um, so um, India and Sri Lanka, as I said, both of these countries have been in fishery conflicts for many years, and 3 years ago they have stopped the discussion. They have stopped discussing about the fisheries issues, and only last week they have started the fishery issue again because the Sri Lankan army had to arrest the four fishermen, and now this week as the this week when the Sri Lankan Navy did not arrest the four fishermen last week. This week, those four fishermen have died. India sought the early release of the fishermen arrested in Sri Lankan waters, as well as the boats in Sri Lankan custody. So when the Sri Lankan waters or Sri Lankan Navy or the people of Sri Lanka or the authorities of Sri Lanka, then they have arrested the four fishermen and also got hold of the boats. India has asked them and told them to set the fishermen and their boats free. It was Sri Lanka underscored the need to curb the illegal fishing, which adversely affects the livelihood of its war-affected fishermen. So, as India said to release the fishermen and to release their boats, then Sri Lanka replied in such a way. It underscored means it gave it gave more importance to one point. It said that the illegal fishing which these four fishermen are doing, all sorts of illegal fishing like this should be stopped, because they adversely affect the livelihood of the fishermen of our country, who are also who are affected by the wars in our country. So please understand this. When the two sides decided to create a joint working group, some years ago they had agreed that there would be no violence or loss of life in handling the fishermen and that a hotline would be established between the respective coast guards. So when the two so as I said before 3 years or before 1 week, both of these countries, India and Sri Lanka, have discussed many things. And two of the main things that they have discussed is that they have discussed an hotline, which means it basically a line which the people of India or Tamil Nadu or which the people of Sri Lanka should not cross and go into other territories. And the other line and the other point was that they had agreed that there would be no violence or loss of life. So there would be no violence. So they said that we won't be doing any violent issues, and we won't be killing any fishermen. And India also promised in the same way. It is unfortunate that the hotline is yet to be operationalized, and that's continue to occur. So the situation which we have right now is an unfortunate issue because both of the lines have been crossed. The hotline have been crossed by the Indian Navy, and the deaths of the four fishermen. So both of the points have been outtaken. The humanitarian approach that has been expected to be the cornerstone of the approach to this conflict has not always been discernible. So the same thing again. The more humane thing which both of the countries have promised to maintain, both of them have been outtaken. Four fishermen have died, and a hotline was also breached. The plan to wean away the Tamil Nadu fishermen from the tendency to exploit the remaining fish resources on the Sri Lankan side by replacing their trawlers with deep sea fishing vessels has not really taken off. Attempts to forge a negotiated settlement through direct talks involving fishermen from both sides have also reached a stalemate. Um, attempt, so the even after establishing a relationship between the two countries, India and Sri Lanka, some of the fishermen of Tamil Nadu or India, they are trying to breach the hotline and they are trying to use the resources of the fishing areas in Sri Lanka. So that needs to be immediately stopped. Sri Lanka favors joint patrolling by both countries and a ban on sustainable fishing practices by Tamil Nadu. Fishermen, such as bottom trawling, but the latter want a lengthy phase-out period. The political leaders in Tamil Nadu rarely acknowledge that the state's fishermen contribute immensely to the problem by crossing territorial waters. So even the political leaders have discussed the issue that the fishermen of Tamil Nadu are entering the fishing areas or fishing territories of the country Sri Lanka, which is arising some problems. And even if they know about this topic, they're not acknowledging the fishermen that what they should do often. So they're not really caring about this topic. Nor is there sufficient recognition that the incursion into Sri Lanka waters is driven by the trawler owners who force their poor employees to do so, who then get killed or arrested, leading to a festering conflict. So, another very unfortunate thing is that the four fishermen who have died, they have done no mistake. They were simply under the pressure or the force of their owners, because their owners have forced them and have insisted them to do so. They have insisted them to go to the area of the Sri Lankan Navy or the Sri Lankan fishing areas, and then get their resources from there. So these innocent the four fishermen who have died were completely innocent, and all the masterminds behind them are the owners of the fish, or the owners of that particular fishing groups are the main ones. So they should not be left behind, and at least this time they should be given some attention or some recognition. So far, there has not been enough political resolve to end this conflict. So the same thing again. So far, no political interest, no proper amount of political interest was shown in this was shown in the situation to solve this problem. A comprehensive solution, one that would severely curtail unauthorized fishing and help in an orderly sharing of and sustainable use of resources by fishermen from both sides, is long overdue. So this last sentence says that both the countries, India and Sri Lanka, are in the need of a law, and that law should be a law which could handle the problems which are happening right now. It should create a hotline, and it should prevent the deaths and also harming of anyone. Thank you.